Hello, this is Survival-gyver, and today we're taking a look at the Nitecore NB Plus. This is their newest power bank. As a replacement of the original NB10000, this is the Generation 2. So some minor differences. See on the outside, they're both carbon fiber. They're carbon fiber chassis, carbon fiber cases. You might notice that the new NB Plus has rounded corners, which is really nice because the square one would get stuck in my pockets all the time. There's some writing on the back, but really hard to read. You've got to get just right on this one. And on this one, for the NB Plus Gen 2, there's some writing here. 10,000 milliamp hour, 38.5 watt hours, which is the same rating if I can get that to show. There you go. NB Plus 10,000 milliamp hour, 38. What does it say? 3.85 volts at 38.5 watt hours. Same rating. So, though they show to be the same rating, they are significantly different. Now, let me show you something about the NB10000. Now, this one I did a review on over a year ago, I believe. And I was iffy because I've been in the carbon fiber industry. So I'm always worried about doing carbon fiber and anything electrical because carbon fiber will conduct electricity. However, this little power brick that they want to call it here, or energy brick by Nitecore, it's a carbon fiber, almost like a resin for the chassis itself, and the cover is a carbon fiber, but the actual internal components never touch the carbon fiber outside. So that's awesome. It cannot suddenly explode, it cannot cause it to be electrocuted. And although, again, I was apprehensive about this in the very beginning, after over a year of testing, I love this. I use this almost every day on my older cell phone to keep it charged because it doesn't hold the charge that well anymore, the cell phone. So this is awesome, but there's a couple of downsides to it. You might notice it. Its edges are sharp. I mean, not super sharp, but they're square, which means inside pant pockets, sometimes it tends to get snagged or rips your pants. It's happened to me more than once, unfortunately. Also, it does have a power button, so you can see what the rating is on it. So right now it's at a 75% charge approximately. So figure each one of these is 25%. If they're all blue, it's a full charge, 100%. You have a USB Type A and a USB Type C. And let's see if you can see that it says on here. It's really, really hard to see. So this side says out. This side says in and out. So you can charge from here. And you can discharge from here to run other items. An interesting thing about Nitecore battery packs is that you can daisy chain them. So you can charge from a wall outlet and charge another device. You can't do that with 99% of the other battery banks out there. It would cause a short and then you'd have a fire. But Nitecore has protection for that, which is awesome. Alright, so let me give you the rundowns on this one. So this is a lithium-ion battery. It's rated at 6,400 milliamp hour at 5 volts. The input is a 5 volt USB-C, 5 volts at 2.4 amps or 9 volt at 2 amps. The output, you have the USB-C as an option on this. 5 volt at 3 amps, 9 volt at 2.2 amps, or 12 volt at 1.68 amps. The USB-A, 5 volt at 3 amps, 9 volt at 2 amps, and 12 volts at 1.5 amps. All right, so you can run dual ports at 5 volts at 3 amps max. This weighs, I don't know if you can see how small this is, but it's got a little bit of weight to it. This weighs 5.29 ounces, or about 150 or so grams, plus or minus 3 grams, right? Because electricity actually has weight. I'm not going to try to get involved in that, but electricity does carry weight, so a fully charged battery will be heavier than an empty battery. And it comes with a USB-A to USB-C cable. So I like this. I've used it for my old cell phone. I also use it on my light bars, which are just above here. If I don't have one of the big power banks with me, I will strap this by Velcro to one of the overhead bars and run this just fine. This has been very, very reliable. Absolutely like this. This is the NB10000. So let's take a look at the new one, the NB Plus. The NB Plus, still a carbon fiber chassis and carbon fiber covers, and you will quickly notice that it's stamped in the front, which is nice. It's easier to read than trying to read the very edge of the other one. And the next thing you'll notice, other than there is writing on the back, and it's almost impossible to see. You have to get the light just right and just dim enough where you can actually be able to see that. So, like, you can see it on the screen there, but it's still really hard to read, even for me. I'm directly in front of it. Capacity 10,000 milliamp hour. I think that's what it says. Yeah, it's hard to see. So I have it saved on the computer screen, so it'll be easier to figure out what that says. But you'll notice that the edges are round. So what's that all about? Well, a round power bank is easier to get in and out of your pockets. It doesn't get snagged. It doesn't get snagged with other stuff that is in your pockets. If you have this in a shirt pocket, it will sit much more comfortably inside the pocket than the square version, the sharp cornered one. But there's some other interesting differences here. So other than it being round, what's the difference? So this is still a 10,000 milliamp hour, just as it says, right? The input from USB-C, 5 volt to 3 amp, 9 volt to 2 amp, 18 watts max. Now the other one is also 18 watts max, so very little has changed there. The difference is the output. The output on this, 5 volts at 3 amps for USB-C, 9 volts at 2.2 amps, 12 volt at 1.68, 10 volts at 2.25 amps, 22.5 watts max. So instead of 18 amps, you have a total of 22.5. Faster charging capability. Awesome, right? USB-A, 5 volts at 3 amps, 9 volts at 2 amps, 12 volts at 1.5 amps, 10 volts at 2.25 amps, 22.5 volt, 22.5 watt max. All right, so it can charge faster. Has the same pass-through capabilities as the NB10000, because this is just a different model which has got a slightly higher charge rate to it. And on the newer phones, that higher charge rate would make things charge a lot faster, a little bit more convenient. What I do like about this, the switch here, it's a touch switch, you know, so it's just a light touch. You don't actually have to press the button. So right now it shows it's a full charge, and it's quite a bit brighter. You can see that with all the light here, as opposed to this one. Let's see if I can turn both on so you can see this. So the NB Plus is on. The NB10000, you can barely tell it's on. The other one's a dark blue color. Obviously, it's only 3 bars instead of 4 because it's not a full charge, but it's not as bright. And plus, if you can see on the NB10000, it's an actual button you have to click. It's a clicky button. It took me a while to figure this one out. This is just a touch button. It's real light touching on and off. I do miss the yellow around the ports on the power banks. I think that would make it easier to see. Plus, it follows their color coordination schedule anyway, but it might have to do with the way the new circuitry is in the NB Plus to run the higher wattage. Right? Now, you can't see it on camera, unfortunately, but the NB Plus is slightly, very, very slightly heavier than the NB10000. So what is this? This is 155 grams, or 5.47 ounces. So it's a little bit heavier. Even though the corners are round, I believe it's the circuitry on the inside that makes it heavier. So there's probably, there's definitely more overcharge protection, short circuit protection, things of that nature, thermal controls in here, which is usually just a chip and a couple little pieces of solder. But the higher charge rate on both type USB-C and USB-A, that is a much bigger chip. So I believe that's why this one's heavier. But it's only heavier by a couple of ounces. Barely a couple of ounces. So otherwise, they're nearly identical in size. It's really hard for me to show you the actual size difference between the two, because if you look at that, which one's bigger? You're going to tell me this one's bigger, because that's what it looks like. It's not. It's actually smaller, but by a very, very small margin. Okay? So the NB Plus, 122.4 millimeters in this direction, right? 144. This is 121.9. So a millimeter difference. Width-wise, this is 59 millimeters, while the NB Plus is 59.6. Again, really small margin bigger. This one, the NB10000, is 10.66 millimeters thick. That distance, that little thickness is 10.6 millimeters thick. Right? This one, want to guess what this is? 11.7. So, for the weight, it comes with a slightly bigger package. And slightly, I mean barely slightly. Alright? So, which is better? Essentially, this is the upgrade to this. And they're right now going for about the same price on Nitecore's website. But I do find that certain aspects are better than others. Like, I'm not worried about the barely an ounce difference in the weight, and the size is negligible in size. This fits much better in bags with the sharp corners, fits better in backpack pockets, like a bino pouch, an administration pouch, camera bags. Places like if you're keeping some extra audio equipment around. These fit better, the square-sided ones fit better in pockets that are more utilitarian. Like bags, bug-out bags, things of that nature. Also fit really well if you're trying to affix them to lighting, like the LED lighting block that's above this that you can see the reflection on. Something like that, right? So that's what this fits better, but it's a lower max charge. 18 amps max, I believe it was. I don't remember off the top of my head now. Yeah, I believe it's 18 watts max, or 18 and a half. Is what this one is. The NB Plus has round corners. Much more comfortable for your back pocket, or even your front pocket of your jeans or skirt or whatever you're wearing on that end. If you're a nerd like myself and have to wear like a pocket square with pens and pencils and slide rulers, this also fits really well in a chest pocket of a shirt or inside the edge of a sleeve. The round corners make it a lot more comfortable to carry. Also, if you have a more modern phone or need something that has more power to run it, this would be the way to go, because it is the 22.5 watt max charge capability. Again, it's not much higher than the 18, but when it counts, it can charge at a higher capacity, and it can charge your product at a higher capacity. So this is a stronger pack. Right? So the difference is slightly larger and heavier, but a higher charge capability. Slightly smaller and lighter with squared edges as opposed to round, lower charging capability. And of course, the NB10000 has this nice yellow around the ports, so they're easy to find in the dark. Although the yellow is nice, I'd be happy with a glow in the dark like a green or a blue too. The NB Plus does not have that. It's just black, and has a touch button for the battery output, while the NB10000 you have to actually click the button. So it is what it is. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, both of them, very, very capable, have a pro and con to them. Again, this is much better in equipment style packs. This is better on your person. They got a little bit heavier, and a little bit larger, a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller, much better charge capability. And this one's got the yellow covers on it. Pros and cons of both. So, if I had a choice, I'd buy both. They make other versions of these too. They make I think a 10,000 milliamp hour battery. I believe they have a high altitude or cold weather one for like skiers and mountain climbers. So they have other options, but these are the only two that I have from them that are power banks. I'm hoping in the future I can take a look at some more of them. But right now, this is pretty much sitting on my equipment for my lighting rigs, for like the lighting up there, or strapped to my tripod if I need to run extra power for my phone, which is also my camera on some of my other channels. It used to be on this channel, but now I run a webcam for this. And this one on my person, because it's comfortable to hold and it's got a better charging capability. Alright? So, they both come with warranty cards. I do not have either of the cards with me. Since they send them to me, I just kind of toss the cards. So, it is what it is. I believe they both came with charging cables. And that's about it. So, if you have any questions or comments, leave it below and I will answer them as soon as I can. I will also leave in the upper right the original review for this one, the NB10000, just in case you want a refresher on that, although I covered it in this video anyway. And look for a long-term review on this soon. As far as I'm concerned, it's probably going to be equal, if not better, long-term than the original one I reviewed. And you can see, I don't know if you can see in the reflection of light, I've banged it up pretty well. I've dropped it a few times. You can see some scratches or gouges in here, and it's been fine. Obviously a lot of fingerprints too. This one, much less on the fingerprints, it's more of a satin feeling, and even though I've been testing it, there are some little scratches in the back here, and the inability to read what that says in the back, even in person, but it is what it is. So thank you for watching. Questions, comments, leave them below, and I will answer them as soon as I can. I also have a couple other Nitecore items that I purchased that will be coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. I was going to stop doing that, but I haven't been doing any of the videos in a couple months. And thank you for watching, and have a glorious night.